It's getting a little bit messier out here as we head into the evening hours, on and off showers throughout the day, and now it's picking up a little bit more. 5 degrees, around 5 degrees in southern Ontario and here in downtown Toronto. We'll have more coming up with you, Suzanne, but first, I need to tell you that we're going to be talking to the biggest hater of winter coming up throughout the show. You're going to find out exactly why. Now, back to you inside, Suzanne, with your weather story.
Sounds like a good story coming up. The story as far as freezing rain is concerned,
We're in a typical Toronto neighborhood. I'm standing on about a foot of snow. I'm looking at about 5 centimeters of ice buildup right near me. There are some dead trees behind me still left over from Ice Storm 2013. And we are in Heather's backyard. Now, what do you think the cost is of all this damage? Because that's just, we just scratched the surface.
Well, for starters, we had to buy extra salt and sand. Never spent so much in my entire life. The gates are broken because the ice storm moved everything around and the foundation has shifted, and the gates don't even close anymore, so I have to have somebody come in and fix them. All the mopping and cleaning and towels I've had to throw out because I've had flooding in the basement. I can't even begin to measure the cost at this point, but I know it's going to be high.
Yeah, and I know you're definitely not happy with Old Man Winter right now.
No, I wish it would end. I want to close my eyes and have it magically disappear and see green grass, birds singing, and a whole new spring.
Well, good. I want to say good luck, but no, the first day of spring is almost upon us, so fingers crossed that it's going to be a forgiving season. To you inside with that.
Thanks very much, Kasia. It's about 21 hours away.
It continues to be messy out here in southern Ontario, on and off showers throughout the day. It's picking up a little bit for your evening commute. Don't forget your umbrellas as you're heading out, or at least a raincoat with a good hood. Temperatures are finally nice and comfortable, so that's great news. Now, earlier in the show, we spoke to winter's biggest hater. She's had a lot of problems when it comes to the water, when it comes to localized flooding. And coming up, we're going to be talking to the experts. We're getting advice on how to maintain our home at this time of year, especially after such a volatile winter. But first, I'm going to send it to you inside with your weather story. Suzanne?
Volatile, exceptional, cold, long, interminable. Yeah, we've got a lot of adjectives for our winter.
You're watching the Weather Network on this Wednesday afternoon where temperatures are so nice and comfortable, but they will be changing, obviously, as we head into the evening hours. On and off showers throughout the day, a little on the messy side. Coming up throughout the show, we're going to be talking to a home inspector about what we should be doing to our homes now that this extreme winter is pretty much said and done. First, I'm going to send it to you inside, though, Suzanne, with your weather story.
Lots of grass behind you, Kasia. That's great to see. And I know a lot of cleanup is coming up still for many who were affected by the ice storm back on.
Now that we can finally put such a volatile winter behind us, we should be thinking about spring home maintenance. Joining us now, we have Darren Arsenault of Durham Home Inspection. Darren, should we be approaching things a little bit differently since it has been such an extreme winter?
I think so. Our homes need help, and what we need to do is take inventory of what's happened to the house on the outside to prevent water from coming inside. So making sure our gutters are clear, making sure our downspouts are aimed far enough away from the house, making sure that grading, which is the slope of the ground around the house, is positioned to drain water away naturally, and also to make sure that there's any new foundation cracks that need to be sealed. We take action immediately so that we prevent water from ending up in our basement.
All right, so time to take inventory now.
Correct.
All right, now that it eventually will be warming up. All right, with that weather story, and will that warm up be coming upon us? To you inside.
Yes, it will, Kasia. Thank you so much for that. Grading, really important.
We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Spring is pretty much upon us, but that, of course, doesn't necessarily mean the birds will be chirping and that it's going to be beautiful outside. But we are talking about the wrap to the very volatile winter we've had, and no one agrees with that statement more than our next guest, and you're going to be meeting her coming up throughout the show. We'll talk to winter's biggest hater, but right now for your weather story, on and off showers, temperatures nice and comfortable in southern Ontario, and with more on that, I send it to you inside, Suzanne.
Nice to see the pavement behind you, Kasia. My goodness. And we're starting to see more and more grass and Vancouver and Violent. Take your pick.
It has been a volatile winter for a lot of us in Southern Ontario, and no one agrees with me more than Heather here, Toronto resident, who calls herself the biggest hater of winter. Heather, what have you been dealing with this winter?
I have been dealing with more ice and snow than any human being should ever have to deal with. My backyard looks like an ice floe. It looks like the Arctic. Layer upon layer is building up, and I can't remove it. No matter how much salt or sand I use, it's just there, and it keeps building.
Yeah. And I know you've tried to get rid of it. You've also had localized flooding because of this in your house, in your backyard. You're seeing a little bit of a pool going on under this tree.
You said it.
It's pretty ugly. So good luck with that. Heather obviously isn't the only one dealing with this. So we're going to be talking to the experts coming up throughout the show. They're going to be talking about cleaning up, after this very tough winter. To you inside now, though, with your weather story.
Isn't it ironic, Kasia? It has been a very tough winter.
'Tis the season for flood prevention and spring home maintenance. Coming up in the show, we'll be talking to Darren Arsenault of Durham Home Inspection. Some great advice, what you should be doing right now that spring is upon us. Doesn't exactly feel that way yet, although temperatures are nice and comfortable, I should say. So as you are heading out, you don't necessarily need your heaviest coat, but you do need your umbrella into the evening hours. With more on your weather store, I'm going to send it to you inside, Suzanne.
Thanks, Kasia. And even though it's milder because it's damp, it still feels a little on the chilly side. And
you're watching the Weather Network on this Wednesday afternoon. Messy weather in Southern Ontario. You can see the snow behind me still. So we do have, the snow melting season upon us. We do have the rainy season upon us. We'll be talking about flood prevention and spring home maintenance coming up in the show with Darren Arsenault of Durham Home Inspection. But right now, if you are heading outside, it's not so bad. Temperatures are nice and mild, but don't forget your umbrellas or at least a good waterproof coat. With more on that weather story and how long this messy weather will last, to you inside, Suzanne.
Thanks, Kasia. Well,
we're hopefully finally saying goodbye to the extremely cold temperatures and the snow behind me. That means the snow melt season is here. The rainy season is here. And to talk about water leakage and what we can do to prevent flooding and localized flooding in our home, outside, Darren Arsenault of Durham Home Inspection joins us now. What do we need to be doing at this time of year?
We need to take inventory of the outside. We need to think about drainage. So that means clearing the gutters, making sure that there's no debris inside. We need to make sure that the surface water is controlled so that if there's any issues with grading, which is the slope of the ground around your house, we need to make sure that it's effectively draining water away from the house. Anything pooling next to the wall is an opportunity for water to end up in your basement, and we need to take action immediately to correct that.
Excellent. Some great advice. Thanks so much. And happy spring, by the way. All right, we're going to send it to you inside with your spring weather story.
I like that note of hopefulness.
End up in our basement.
Each year, regardless of the season's intensity, there are some jobs which should always top our spring to-do list.
On the outside, we want to take a look at how the winter has treated our home, which means the door frames, window frames, and any foundation cracks that require sealing. Anytime we have an opportunity for moisture to get in, with new weather coming up, with the rainy season upon us, we're going to need to make sure that our house is properly sealed on the outside.
For the Weather Network, I'm Kasia Bodurka.
Okay, so we have the first day of spring on Thursday. Very exciting, although I think it may be in name only across